Welcome, everybody, to the LIPSEY'S Aim Higher podcast. Across from me, Jason Kloster, and we have another member of our lovely tribe here, Dale Cool Hand Luke. I'm just making that up.
Yeah,
does anyone call you?
We're
that?
shooting from the hip.
It's very fitting though. It's a cool nickname.
Yeah,
but you kind of have to be cool though.
I do.
Well,
I do.
It's negotiable. Yeah. Anyways, we're excited. We've got a brand new gun today, and we know that new guns have been kind of hard to come by this year. So we can't wait to get into this and talk about this. This is a Jason Kloster must have. He talked about it last week of a gun he's not even going to hesitate to get.
Oh yeah.
And we brought Dale in, and I'm going to let Dale introduce it because, you're the guest, so we want to be polite here. So what are we looking at today?
What we're looking at is the new Ruger LCP MAX. So what this is very similar to the LCP2, but, of course, MAX, so MAX meaning more. So we're looking at a 10-round capacity magazine with the option to buy a 12-rounder as well.
Wow. Big news,
It is.
Big news in probably the smallest package available.
It is.
Honestly.
So obviously the 365 has been the big game changer in the carry world in the small 9mm market, and Ruger had that same event happen when they did the LCP. It's been since 2007, I think they introduced it.
Yep.
So that gun changed the dynamic of what people carried. It was the smallest 380 that was readily available. The Kel-Tec had the 3AT out at the time, but the LCP was the first mainstream, small, lightweight, sub 10 ounce pocket 380, and obviously they sold millions and millions of them.
Yeah.
And part of what Ruger's always has tried to do is how do we improve on the LCP?
Right.
They really did a pretty damn good job right off the bat.
Yeah.
So the LCP2 came out. They took a little bit of feedback. They made the sights a little bit better, a little higher profile. The trigger was a little bit different, a little bit lighter. The grip was actually slightly a little bit wider and bigger to help distribute the recoil a little bit better. And the LCP2, while it was a definite upgrade, especially to actually shooting wise, it wasn't a huge upgrade.
Right.
If you had an LCP1 and you were running it fine, it's not like, okay, I need to go run out and buy the LCP2.
Right. That's all changing though.
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
If you have an LCP1, don't go get rid of it.
Right,
keep it.
Right.
But an LCP Max is definitely something you need to look at getting.
Well, both of you guys are everyday carry guys, really, and I know Dale. That's why we wanted Dale in because you carry every day. So we wanted to get some other insight, outside of just the two of us on, first and foremost, what's the first thing that drew you in when you saw this, heard about this, actually maybe got to pick it up, hold it for the first time, and where does it kind of fall in the ranks all of a sudden? Right.
Well, one of the things that really grabbed my attention were the sights on it. They're actual usable sights. They're quick acquisition sights. U-notch rear with a night sight front sight.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very quick sight, and carrying every day, regardless of what my everyday carry is.
Right.
The sight setups are the same on every single gun that I carry.
Right.
Yep.
And Jason and I, we sit around talking about this all the time. It's like, well, what if we just went to one platform and all said, all done? You have the same sight picture no matter what gun that you pick up.
Makes sense.
And
habit.
And that's what you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And these sights really stand out in my book.
They're very similar to they're not Vickers sights, but they're very similar to the sight picture that the Vickers sights that we did on a lot of the Glock series. Because, a serrated black U-notch rear with a tritium front. The cool thing about it is they are dovetailed into down the road there'll be other options.
Sure.
You can change them.
Yep.
Whatever you want to do with them if that's not your jam, so to say. But the sights make a huge difference in my opinion, and that's where this gun, to me, not only does the capacity greater. I mean, you get 4 more rounds. I mean, who doesn't want? Nobody wants a small gun with less shots, right? So I mean, everybody wants more rounds, which is a great deal. But the sights really make a big difference. I always struggle with trying to talk to some of these manufacturers about, you make a smaller gun, inevitably it's harder to shoot. So, and then you go put really terrible sights on them.
Right.
If you even can call them sights.
Right.
And, we want them snag free. If it's in a pocket holster, it's snag free.
Right.
It's not a problem.
Right.
And so this now takes this small pistol category, which is, sub micro, was when I, kind of look these little small pocket 380s.
Yeah.
and it makes it a shootable gun. The little bit slighter, wider grip to use a little bit wider magazine. I mean, it's minuscule. It's not much wider. Actually distributes the recoil even better and makes the gun that much more shootable.
Yeah.
The trigger is fantastic on it.
It really is. And, another thing is I don't like big, bulky things in my pocket. I can't stand them. I can barely stand a cell phone in my pocket.
Right.
But,
I'm the same. Slim wallets, slim.
Exactly. And with the pocket holster on carrying the LCP2 for a while, transitioning to the Max, it's going to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah. It actually uses the same holster. It pretty much uses the same holsters. The only time you might get an instance if you have a really tightly molded holster for a regular LCP2, the little bit taller sights on the Max might not work. But in your, like the pocket holsters that comes with Dale and I were looking at, it's the same pocket holster that comes with the Max came with the LCP2 as well. So all that's the same. The top end is pretty much the same on the gun.
Yeah.
The grip is just ever so slightly wider and just ever so slightly longer. But it's the same height as an LCP2 with the pinky, the flush pinky extension mag.
Right.
So really a lot more shootable. It feels way better in the hand.
Yeah.
This gun, you got 11 rounds on tap. If you put the extended mag, you got 13 rounds on tap. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first thing that I thought about was
that's amazing in that size.
That's two small frame revolvers.
Yeah,
capacity wise, you've got it beat. So whether you carry a J frame or an LCR or a Taurus, one of the small Taurus revolvers, you've got now a gun that weighs 10 ounces.
Yeah,
unloaded. Once you load it, it's going to be a bit more.
Right,
but you got a 10 ounce gun, so it's already you're lighter than pretty much any other revolvers out there.
Yep.
And you've got twice the capacity.
Well, the first thing I saw, when you open the box, the first look I got at it is it's tiny.
It's tiny,
and then you pick it up, and it's light. I mean, it is really
extremely light.
It's pretty remarkable when you first sort of look at it and pick it up and you realize what it holds.
And for me, why it's a must buy is because I know I've talked about it in the past. The SIG 365 size gun, the small double stack micro 9mm has really taken over.
Yeah,
it's pretty much the gun that I carry in a belt. Pretty much every day.
Yeah.
Still a Glock 19 guy too.
Yeah.
And so those two guns have kind of been my two carry. This gun, where I've struggled is in the next size down. Because I've always carried either a J frame or an LCP. J frames are legendary for reliability.
Sure.
I'll never get rid of a J frame. I always have one in the rotation.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't shoot them that well.
Yeah.
And the capacity is low.
Yeah.
And it's 5 rounds. They're a little heavier and a little bulkier, quite honestly.
Right.
I will say I'm a firm believer that 38 Special is a little more gun than a 380.
Right.
But I'll also will take twice the capacity. That's easier to shoot and has great sights. And if not a reload with a pocket pistol is probably something that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But heaven forbid you had to. It's a heck of a lot easier than trying to load from a speed strip or something else.
Mm-hmm.
That gun's got a lot going for it, and you've got basically the same capacity as 2 J frames.
Yeah.
In that one little pocket pistol, it fits in the pocket.
Yeah.
Man,
easily.
That gun is really going to be tough to beat.
Easily. Let's talk comparison a little bit. We've got actually 3 guns on the table here, obviously, and the closest one to Dale is the new LCP Max, and then we've got what else do we have here, Dale?
This is just a standard LCP2 with the magazine extension in it as well, and you can see kind of a size comparison on there. And I'll hold them up a little more a few minutes later. And then we got the Max 9.
Disclaimer: We always check and unload the guns before we do the show, so just throwing that out there.
We all checked them.
Yeah, yeah. Continue.
We did definitely check them. But, I want to go back to kind of Jason's point about carrying a J frame. One thing that kind of makes this gun appealing is for left-handed shooters. To reload a J frame, everything is on the left side of the pistol and is not really conducive for a left-handed shooter to go ahead and drop the cylinder on a J frame.
True, yeah.
To go ahead and reload it. This thing has a reversible magazine catch. So you can go ahead and put it on the other side for left-handed shooters. And then another thing to point out is it's got little wings on the very last serrations. So it gives you a little bit extra to grab onto.
Yeah, something to grab
onto.
onto.
So someone dealing with arthritis or, doesn't have the dexterity. I can't say that.
Dexterity,
yeah, exactly. To go ahead and rack the slide back on it because of the recoil spring on it, you can really get a grip and pull it back. And it is a very light recoil spring, but it's one additional thing to help you with the grip there.
Which has wide appeal. That's something I know for a lot of, again, older or senior shooters with arthritic problems, maybe even some females who, don't want to, mess with the slide. I mean, that's something that this really helps solve some of that problem.
Well,
it's really, this gun it's a great carry gun for anybody.
The smaller that you make a gun, the harder it is to manipulate.
Yeah.
And, look, we can argue, we can have a whole episode on what's the appropriate gun for somebody, a female or somebody who has limited hand strength or whatever.
Yeah.
But inevitably, working, promos over the years, and Dale, you and I both done it over the years. When you do a Ruger promo, there's a lot of older people in lady shooters who gravitate to LCPs because they're small. Mm-hmm. They want something little. They want something small.
They want something to put in their purse or their back pocket,
right?
Front pocket,
and
whatnot.
it's just what they want. And it's not always the best choice for them, but that's what they want. And so you give them as much information as you can, but inevitably a lot of times that's still what they end up getting.
Yeah, this
gun solves a lot of the issues that I had with somebody like that getting a regular LCP.
Right.
Generally, they're not going to be able to shoot it really well because they're really kind of tough to shoot. They're a little harder to manipulate, and they're kind of limited in capacity.
Right.
This gun solves a lot of those issues. I really think Ruger did everything correctly on this gun. There's nothing that I would change on it.
Mm-mm.
Right. And you said you like the trigger too. Have we?
Yeah.
We haven't got a chance to actually shoot these yet. As far as
no, it's the same. It's the same trigger as the LCP2.
Okay.
It's not the longer, heavier LCP1 trigger.
Right.
Now the original LCP2s, at least the one I had, the trigger was on the verge of almost being a little too light.
Yeah.
For a pocket gun. The Max seems like it's a little heavier to me, at least.
It's a little stiffer.
And man, I like it. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of in between. It's got that level of like, oh gosh, that's kind of a light trigger to be put in a pocket holster in my pocket.
The original LCP did have a pretty long pull.
It was a long trigger pull, and it had a false reset. When you reset the trigger, it would click and reset, but it wasn't fully reset, so you had to let it out even some more. So kind of guys who were used to shooting Glocks and M&Ps and stuff like that sometimes struggled with it. The LCP2 and the Max does not have the false reset in there. So it resets out real light. If you're used to shooting a Glock style trigger, these guns will be really easy to transition to. And they're a good bit smaller. Again, we were talking about the 365 size gun, the Max 9 size. Those fill a great role, but they're still just a little too big for the average person to carry in a pocket. This gun, the LCP Max, it's a pocket gun.
Where do you like to carry this one, Dale? Would you like to carry this one in the pocket or ankle? Or I mean, it's really you can tuck it just about anywhere, I guess.
You really could.
Yeah.
It's kind of a duo. Those guys, wear sport coat and tie. They don't want to put it in their jacket pocket or their pants pocket, and they want to ankle carry it.
Yeah. You
can definitely ankle carry it. I would in a heartbeat because it's no bigger than a J-frame, and it's going to be lighter. Pocket carry, absolutely. Small the back. You're wearing something appendix style. I mean, it's really anywhere you want to carry it.
Yeah.
This gives you the most capacity in a decently powered handgun round.
Right.
That's fairly easy to shoot. Got good sights in the smallest package out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this the highest capacity handgun in the smallest size available right now?
In this power range, I don't know of anything that's
I can't think of anything.
I mean, until then, now you would look at something like a SIG 365 or a Max 9 or something like that.
Yeah,
but even though those are really small guns, this gun is significantly smaller.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just no way around it. It does fill that role of being smaller enough to where it should put a spot in your carry rotation.
Right.
And as a second gun, a lot of people like to carry a second gun. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily want to carry a huge second gun.
Right.
That's a gun that you can throw in a pocket throw in an ankle holster. It's small enough to probably fit in a handcuff case for law enforcement.
Yeah,
it's small.
Yeah,
it's really small, and I just think it's something that if you're carrying a micro 9, pretty much on an everyday thing,
right.
But there's those times when you just for some reason you can't carry on your waistline. That this gun will give you, I think, 85% of what that gun will do.
Yeah.
In a much smaller package.
You can even see compared to the other two, especially the Top Gun there, which is more
Max 9.
The Max 9. I'm sorry, which is more comparable to the 365, and in that category.
Right.
This is the monumental difference.
I mean, we're talking
a
true subgun.
Yeah,
right. And sometimes paper stats are deceiving.
Yeah,
because you'll look on the paper stats. Oh, it's only an inch longer. It's only a quarter inch this. It's only an eighth of an inch wider. You hear all this. It doesn't sound like a lot until you actually put it in steel and polymer in front of you. Then all it's like, oh god, that's significantly bigger. If you look at the difference between a Glock 43 and a Glock 42 on paper, it's hardly anything.
Right.
But when you try to pocket carry a Glock 43, it's tough. Whereas a 42 is kind of doable.
Right. And not to say that, obviously that the 365, they're not unwieldy guns at all. It's just a matter of, again, when you open the box and pick this thing up, you're like, whoa, right. I can't believe. Well, I mean, I can't believe the capacity and what, the potential, this thing has.
Right, exactly. And, I mean, we're in South Louisiana.
Hot.
What's the temperature today? 91.
Yeah.
Heat index of 104.
Yeah, we're not wearing suits. And,
exactly.
Heavy jackets. No.
Exactly, or even gym shorts. If someone's going walk around the block, it's 10 ounces now. I don't know what it is loaded.
I mean, it's going to be approximately whatever 4 rounds of 380 weighs, right. Heavier than LCP
standard.
Yeah,
but
a little bit more.
Walking around the neighborhood. Going to and from the gym, you're in gym shorts or something like that, going to your car, your hands are full with your gym bag or whatnot, but you need something easy access to get into your pocket. It's ideal for that. What
does this do for the 380 round? I mean, does it I'm kind of curious. Is this we've had the trend of the subcompacts and micro, and now we're almost into.
I think it brings us back. Obviously, in the mid 2000s, 380 got super hot.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, 380 was always a very small percentage of the sales that we would sell, and then when the LCP came out, I mean, 380 was just nuts, and and obviously
it was a game changer.
It was, and the amount of product development in 380 ammunition increased significantly during that time. And the 380 has always struggled slightly because you're maxed out at about a 100-grain bullet. Most rounds about 90 grains. You can't push them super fast. There's just not enough case capacity there.
Right.
So it's never going to be a 9mm.
Sure.
It's the same diameter bullet as a 9mm, but it's not going to be as heavy and it's not going to be as fast. So it's really more comparable to a 38 Special.
Right.
When you compare it, in my opinion, to some of the heavier standard weight 38 Specials, some of the plus P 158s and plus P 135s, stuff like that, it falls short.
Yeah.
When you compare it to some of the lighter stuff, maybe the 110s and a lot of stuff that's really popular with people throwing in little lightweight J-frames because they can't handle the recoil of the heavier rounds, then the gap starts to get a little bit closer. Where I do like it is when I can double the capacity.
Yeah.
Even though I think 38 is just more gun, I would rather have 11 380s than 5 38s. I mean, especially 11 380s that I can shoot faster and more accurately.
And the purpose of this gun is to get you out of a bind.
Exactly.
I mean, that's really at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, whether it's 38 or it's 380, whatever it is, I mean, that's the general purpose. You're in a tough spot if you got to pull the trigger on it. And you're right. I'd probably rather have the round count than
And look, let's face it. Civilians are probably not going to have to shoot through auto glass.
Sure.
They're not going to have to shoot through these barriers that law enforcement does. Not saying that you can't. You might not have to. You may. You just don't know the situation.
Right.
And look, a lot of people carry full metal jackets in their 380s. I was carrying, in my LCP2, I carried full metal jackets in it because I wanted the penetration. But there's no illusions that you're going to probably get through windshields and everything else with a 380.
Yeah.
But as a civilian, for what the purpose of this gun's going to be, you're probably not going to have to do it for that. Use that for that reason.
Right,
and,
right.
And quite honestly, a lot of 38 rounds don't make it through it either,
Right.
especially out of 2-inch barrel guns.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of an argument that really is. Now, I know there are some new rounds coming out in 380 that are supposed to be addressing that. I think Federal has the new HydroShock Deep. I don't know if they've started shipping it yet or not, but they introduced that, I think, last year, and that round is designed to expand and give you at least a minimum of 12 inches of penetration in ballistics gelatin, which is the FBI
Right.
standard. So
Right.
it's, as far as I know, it's the only 380 load that's supposedly designed to do that. And if that ends up being the case and ends up being viable round,
This could be a trend.
that could really
Right.
make that gun even a lot more attractive at that point.
Yep.
And it'll just cause other manufacturers to do the same. They follow suit. They'll say, okay, hey, if they can do it, then we can do it. It's like the first guy to break the 4-minute mile. All of a sudden, everybody started breaking it. And so I think you will see.
Well, SIG did it with, again, we reference it a lot, but it's because it started the trend, with the 365.
And if we see 380 sales had kind of started to taper because you had these little small 9mm. People are like, all right, well, if I'm not going to carry a small 380 on my belt if I can carry a really small 9mm, and I wouldn't either.
Right.
Now we start getting back into these pocket guns again, and we're like, oh man, now I got 11 rounds.
Yep.
I think there'll be a more increased interest in 380. I think the manufacturers will respond with more load development, and I think you'll probably see more stuff that's designed around making those FBI parameters.
So you're adding this? You're going to add this to the arsenal then, or what?
I think I'm gonna have to.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna have to.
it's not an option.
No, there is no option.
Well, it's funny. I think it was probably 6 or 7 years ago. Flint and I, our general manager and vice president, were at Ruger in Prescott, and one of the questions they posed to us was, what is the next thing that can be done to the LCP to take it to the next level? And at the time, this is pre-365. This is pre all that.
Yeah.
And kind of piped off and said, really make it a higher capacity gun.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, we'd have to go wide and everything. And I think a lot of that, there was the want, but not necessarily the way. And
right.
And I'm just thankful they did it. Ruger always is great about listening to ideas. They finally put good sights on the gun and made the gun really a viable pocket gun.
Yeah.
Again, I know I'm super excited about it,
Yeah.
and even without even firing the first shot through it yet, but the execution on the features of this gun to me is I couldn't have drawn it out any better.
It's great timing for Ruger too, with this massive influx of new shooters and people, and by and large, most of them coming in because of personal protection. Why they're interested. It's just, I think it'll be a home run for Ruger to launch this type of pistol with this time. Now we've got what do we hear, 12 million new shooters in the last year.
And you've got 22 states now with constitutional carry.
Yeah,
you got Texas who just signed it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people who maybe for whatever reason did not want to go through the concealed carry permit process.
Right.
That now all of a sudden legally can carry a firearm. That's the kind of guns that those people generally buy because they want something to throw in their pocket.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot ticket.
And so I think that the timing on this gun really couldn't have been any better.
Yeah, I agree. Dale, what do you think? What are final thoughts on this guy?
Ruger's always been great about giving us curveballs, and these big game changers that come out, regardless if it is a single action, big bore, something or other that we had the jury test, or something that is so small that fits in your pocket. It's really a must-have. And there's more and more people with manufacturers that are going to jump on board with from the ammunition side. And like Jason said, start developing these rounds that will be expansion, be penetrators.
I could see it as a trend. I really can, because
absolutely.
Because I don't know if we can stuff 40 rounds into a 9mm. So it's you gotta eventually break off into another lane, and I think that's kind of what Ruger just did here. And this might be,
exactly.
It's it's a new category.
Yeah.
It's a higher capacity pocket pistol.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which before was always limited to single stack, 6, maybe 7. I don't know. Maybe there might have been 1 or 2 that maybe had a little bit more,
8,
but they were bigger guns. Now all of a sudden, the gauntlet's been laid down by Ruger with a 10+1.
Yeah,
and that's 4 more rounds. Well, again, on paper, okay, 4 rounds. That's almost 50% more capacity.
And again, if you're in a bind, I'll take 4 rounds any day. I'll take 2.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, that's great. This is exciting stuff. Again, it's so nice to see one new gun, and I know we've got more coming. We've got exclusives we're working on. So really appreciate all the commentary. You guys. I know avid everyday carry enthusiasts, and just for from practicality and kind of what we do here and everything. So I think it's great. It's good to get that kind of insight. So I think that'll be a wrap for now, and you'll be able to see this thing live and up close. I think hopefully pretty soon. It'll be a hot ticket
before you know it.
It'll be a hot ticket for a while, but it'll get out there. So you can find us and more information and more of our podcasts at LIPSEY'S.com. Also our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at LIPSEY'S Guns. And until next time, aim higher.
Aim higher.